guns, drugs, awareness, all of that played a part and built me up as a young man to prepare to, and I still chose to go with the gangs.
Welcome to Uncomplicating the System, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of social injustice and unravel the intricate web of human experiences that intersect with the criminal justice system. I'm your host, Vanessa Garcia, and today's episode is one that sits at the intersection of trauma, transformation, and the long road to redemption. Our guest today is someone who spent decades rebuilding his life after serving time in Chicago. He moved to California, entered the music industry, and stayed out of trouble for 23 years. But then one traumatic incident set off a chain of events that changed everything. He was robbed, and that moment, rooted in past trauma and the fear he thought he had left behind, led him to make a choice he now deeply regrets. A choice that resulted in him being arrested and charged with attempted murder. But it's also a story of how the criminal justice system, for once, recognized the role that mental health and trauma played in that decision. He was released recently, very recently, and now he's focused on healing. He's here with us today to unpack it all. This isn't a story with clean edges or perfect closure. It's raw, it's real, and it's about what it means to keep choosing growth even when your past keeps showing up at the door. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to start with where you are now. You've been out for a little while, 2, 3 weeks. What's been on your heart and mind as you try to ground yourself?
Um, Basically, just trying to get the feel back of being free and understanding how to realize that we have to like just stop taking things for granted, even the real small things. So just taking everything in, but still trying to get on that page where I was before I left, right? And that's kind of difficult because I lost a lot of things, a lot of time.
Mhm.
Um, but I believe that you can get that back. You just have to get back engaged and just know that time is very important. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a big adjustment. And we'll kind of share more of the details on that so people understand where you came from and where you are today. So let's go ahead and talk more about your story. It doesn't begin with the most recent incident. Can you take us back to your roots, what it was like, what life was like for you growing up in Chicago?
So I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. Of course, grew up kind of like in the urban areas. When I was growing up, they had Cabrini Greens and the Robert Taylor projects, so it was real, real bad. Gangs was very active at that time, and so as a little kid looking out the window, of course, I didn't see individuals with business suits getting up, going out in the morning, going to work. I saw something very different. Look out the window, and there were individuals sitting out there selling drugs, or
Right.
been out all night and hustling, gambling, and things like that. And so when I saw those images, I believe that that's what life was all about. My world was really small and compact. And so, not knowing as a kid that you have a choice,
Right.
right? But when I saw that, so I chose that. as a kid. Like, you make a choice, but not knowing you're making a choice. But that was my choice. So I chose that. And so just looking out the window, and it was like a class. You are learning like what these individuals do on a day-to-day basis, from gambling to running up to cars, selling drugs to people walking up, hiding the drugs,
Mhm.
hiding the guns, running. I mean, I could sit in the window all day and just see a movie, actually, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And so, and then there were times where, because of these buildings were so like tall, and then there was the building next door, and that was the rival gang. So they would be shooting at each other from the buildings. But the real crazy thing was there was a park in the center of that, and kids would be out there.
Mm.
And so, these kids and bullets is going past, and some kids get hit. Um, so those are the times that I remember. And then also, the other crazy thing was, these buildings are tall, and so you on the 16th floor or the 15th floor, and there ain't even a gate. Like, you could be pushed off.
Wow.
So people who have old washing machines and old dryers would just bring them outside and push them off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, when I think about all of that, it's just like that was crazy, like, but that was life growing up.
And you made a key point. You said it's like a classroom, and the saying is life is a classroom. That's
Yes.
what you're seeing. So that is your norm. So
Yeah.
you're rolling along in
Yeah.
that classroom, learning things, and then you enter into that world. You eventually end up having to do some time as a
Right.
result of the lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How much time did you do, and what was that like?
Well, right before I even got involved, and being active, um, from going from the window to being on the field.
Hmm.
Now I'm on the field, like I'm sitting in the midst of, and I got it up close. And one day, we're sitting out there, they're gambling, they're hustling or whatever, and the people from the next building creep up from behind. And this was my first up close traumatic moment where I knew that this was real. Um,
Okay, for a second, I'm going to pause. I want to picture it. How old were you?
at the
Because I'm
time, I was
visualizing.
about 9. I
9. Okay.
was about 9 years old, and so I'm standing out there with these guys, and they're selling drugs, they're gambling, and the sun had went down, so it's dim. All of the buildings are the lights are like took out. They just take them out, dark them out, so it's just dark. Even coming down in the elevator, it's just scary, right? So these guys from the other building come around and they creep around, and I'm not knowing, but I'm pretty sure that the individuals who were older, they knew, but they just wasn't paying attention. And so these guys pull guns out.
Mm,
It's a robbery,
mm.
right? So they grab everybody, and then they even grab me. But I'm a little kid, but I'm a witness. And so we get in the elevator to take us downstairs, and downstairs is a storage. And in this storage, the other guy pulls me, put like a t-shirt or something over my face, and takes me and walks me down to the other end of the storage. And while walking me, I hear at the other end the gunshot, pow pow, pow pow. Those two guys got killed.
Wow.
And so they stuck me in a room in a storage, where there was like a dryer put in front of the gate, so I couldn't get out. Um, so of course, me being 9 years old, I'm like, this is something that I didn't witness out the window. Like, I'm on the field now, so this is up and close. It's real. Um, and so as a little kid, when you think about it, you go from the smells
Right.
to the sounds, all of these things you learn to take in, right? And I know now that because of what just happened down there, like I need to be quiet, right? And I need to cooperate and in this moment be a little kid. You know what I mean? And so that's what I did. So I was there in that storage for about 3 days before someone happened to come down looking for something in their storage and saw me. By that time, the police, all of that then came up through there and found those bodies down there. But I was hiding, I'm like hiding myself because I'm thinking they're gonna come back for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and so I got up out of there, and that's when things changed for me. Of now I know how real this is. This is real, you know.
Right.
And so I believe that I think in life, like you say, there's lessons, and in those lessons are it builds character,
Hmm.
right, and prepare you for whatever you're gonna go through in
Right.
life, whatever you choose to go through, right? You choose your destination, and so it played a part in me to where now I know that like this is real, and so like guns, drugs, awareness, all of that played a part and built me up as a young man to prepare to, and I still chose to go with the gangs because
Right.
at 11 I lost my mom,
Okay.
and so that also played a part to where now I wanted to go to the gangs because I was looking for love, I was
Yep.
looking for attention,
Yeah.
looking for guidance, looking how to survive, and
Hmm.
then also it played a part to where now I don't care. Like
Right.
so the little boy now in somewhat is a little man, and he's dangerous because of the things that he has saw and the things that he has experienced.
Right.
Right. And
Yep.
so yeah,
Okay, so you're 11 now. Your mom passes away. So not only do you have that experience at 9 years old that taught you
right,
the world isn't safe.
right,
Protect yourself, do what needs to be done. And then your mom passes. Now you've got a void. Now
right.
the fundamental need of love and connection has been ripped out. So you're
Yes,
looking for belonging. All of this is making sense and it's heading in that direction. So
yes.
so you go with it.
Yup.
And then at one point you end up your first time experiencing jail. Was that as a juvenile? Was that as an adult? And what was that time frame?
So as a juvenile, my first run in was at 15,
Okay.
and now I'm in the gang and I'm running. I'm like a drug runner,
Okay.
or someone who is put in the house. And so in the house, there are two positions. One position is the scale guy who sits back there and weighs the drugs and collects the money, and then the other guy is the doorman who answer the door, get the money, ask what they want, go
Hmm.
back, get it from the scale man, deliver it to them, and let
Okay.
them go. So I was both of those.
Okay.
And then the house got raided,
Okay.
and then from there I went to a juvenile facility, but it's like a little prison. So I did 2.5 years up until I was 18,
Okay.
right? And then from there, now I'm like really like, you know, they say again, you got choices, right? You want something different, you want to be rehabilitated, or I can do it better now. Now I know, right? And so, but I was that guy. I can do it better now.
Hmm.
So, um,
Yep.
and so I got out and I went to Milwaukee, right? And so now I'm in Milwaukee. I'm running around in Milwaukee, and this is new territory. It's open, and I learned some things up in Chicago. So now I can come down here. I can bring that down here, which I did, right? And I connected, and things got bigger. But of course, now I'm in the I call it the big league. You're a grown man. Now you can finna, I'm 18. So
You're
now,
18. Yeah.
right. So now it's different, right? Now the rules has changed. Um, the stakes are heavier and
Hmm.
larger, right? And also the trouble is serious now. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
right. So I stayed on the streets for a while, and I hustled and built. It's like another chapter from Chicago, right? I brought what I knew from Chicago to Milwaukee and built a chapter around it, right? So now it's a plug from Milwaukee to Chicago. Um, and so in that learning, um, building, and then also uh, fighting, right? There's disagreements.
Hmm.
Um, excuse me. There's turf. We're fighting over things that I look at now that are foolish. You know what I mean? It's like that ain't your turf or my turf. That's the city street,
Right.
right? So, but and so we're doing all of this nonsense. People are getting hurt, of course. People are stealing. So I mean, it was a lot. But I wanted to. I mean, this is really kind of like all I knew, you know.
Right.
I didn't have no one to come in my life and say that you have choices. You can
Right.
choose different. And so I even added to that, I added Iowa. So now I'm Chicago, Milwaukee, excuse me, and Iowa. And in that, again, I got a crew, and this is where I know that, excuse me, that I'm getting in a lot of trouble because things have escalated. You go from small packages to big packages, right?
Right.
And you're building relationships and you're dealing with people who are quote unquote very dangerous.
And at that point, if I can just ask, you'd only done that time as a juvenile.
Right.
So as far as you're concerned, did a little time. Now you're invincible
So,
because you're
well,
going
not
straight.
really invincible, but you like it. Again, it's like school. It prepares you, right?
Right.
And I won't trip up and make those mistakes again,
I see. Okay.
and not knowing that there's other mistakes that can be made,
Sure.
right? And not only other mistakes that can be made, but you just being affiliated with other people, you get caught up in their mistakes.
Right.
But see, you're not thinking that as an individual, right? You just learning as you go.
So
Until
what led you to the point where you actually did the longer stint of time in actual prison?
um, when I look at that and I think back, um, is that okay? When I think back, it's relationships, right? Because I believe sometimes when you do things on your own, you don't make mistakes or you don't make the mistakes that other people make. Sometimes other people can make mistakes or bad decisions and get themselves caught up, right? And then you think that this person is solid, but they're not, right? Why? Because now the feds is all involved, right? and they break these people down.
Right.
And so now when they get broke down, your name come up.
Yep.
And so then now that your name come up, now you being investigated and you don't even know.
Right.
Right. And then some of these people are so bold, they set you up.
Right.
Make a phone call, get you to say a few things, and that's it.
Because the family that you thought was actually family and connecting with you and giving you, no, they're out for themselves as well. So of course they're going to give you your name so they can get a reduced sentence or whatever the
Exactly,
benefit
right?
is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And
Okay.
you when you think about that now, that relationship, that family and all of that, like that gets destroyed in the matter of however long when you find out that it was them, right? They the only one that knew. Wow, that's crazy. And then you get on the plane, the feds grab you, and sure enough, they got them too. You put two and two together, the conversation, you're like, yeah, well, it's too late now, right? So then that destroys your trust factor.
Hmm.
You see, so you go from this build up to with family to I don't trust nobody. You know what I mean? So and in that is lessons. Like again, like there's lessons in everything. You just have to sit down and look at the situation and like pull a lesson from it.
So I'm going to use a street term here. So you were snitched on. So there
Right,
was a snitch. You went
right,
and did time as a result of that. You got caught up in all of that. How
right.
much time did you do for that?
I did 10 years.
10 years solid.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so you do 10 years, and now I'm just going to fast forward a little bit. After that prison sentence, you made the decision to leave that all behind. You moved to California, you got
right.
into music, you stayed out of trouble for over 2 decades, which should be applauded. What helped you stay on that path for over 20 years?
I think it was actually even before I got out. It was while I was in.
Okay.
Um, I understood that again. We'll go back to choices.
Mm-hmm.
That you could have made another choice, but you chose to do this, and in that there's consequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so you learned your consequences, but in your consequences you can change, right? And so you have to sit down and realize and say, hey, what do I really want to do with myself? Like, what was my dream when I was a kid, when I was that 9 year old, right? And after the lights go out and I'm looking at TV or on Saturday morning, I'm looking like, what did I want to do? What did I want to be? Before I lost my mom and all of those things were took from me,
Mm-hmm.
what did I want to be? What did I want to do? What was my passion? And so I got in touch with that, and I learned how to dream again, right? To sit back and just dream. And so I started reading, and when I was selling drugs, I got an opportunity to be around a few artists.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, like their lifestyle is kind of similar, but they're getting money the right way.
Right.
Instead
Yeah,
of me
what a
having
concept.
right, exactly. Like they're getting money the right way. People are bringing them bundles of money, right?
Right.
And they're doing it right, but they wear the chains and they do all of that. And like,
Hmm.
I can do that. Instead of being locally, I could be international,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so, like I said, I read and I met uh, a lady in prison who saw that. She was like, you seem really serious about this business of music. And I was like, yeah, I'm really serious. That's what I want to do. So she started bringing me books, right? Donald Passman, The Business of Music, and books like that, and I learned and dived into it, and I started writing and writing out my plans
Mm,
and everything, and I just was so passionate about that, and then I knew that everything was going to be digital.
right.
So why not head down to California, the Bay Area, and be right in the midst of it, right?
Right.
And so that's what I did.
That's amazing. And that is such a long time. And I just have to pause and commend you because you took it upon yourself. You were open enough after, I'm going to go back a little bit, to being a 9-year old boy and experiencing trauma to the effect where you were kidnapped,
Yes,
isolated. There was murder that occurred within feet of you.
yes,
Fast forward, you're still continuing down this path because why wouldn't you?
right,
Right. And then when you finally do get to prison, instead of being closed off and becoming more hardened, you made the decision to remain open so that she, and I'm going to assume she was an employee,
yes,
so she can feed you and speak into your life and
yes,
show you what you hadn't been shown. So
right.
I just have to pause and say that is so commendable, and that requires a high level of strength within you to make that decision. So kudos to you. We have to pause and acknowledge that. So, what I'd like to do now, and if you don't mind, is, are you comfortable talking about the robbery? Not necessarily the details of what happened, but the feeling of it. What came up for you emotionally in that moment? What did awaken from your past? Would you mind sharing some of that?
Sure. So I had came down here, and of course, at the time I didn't really have anything, but I had that dream to hold on to. I had the dream, I
Hmm.
had information, and I knew that with those two important ingredients, that all I had to do was work and keep my thoughts in that, and I could
Right.
manifest something, right? And so I worked two full time jobs, and one was to pay the bills. The other money I would put towards and buy equipment piece by piece,
Nice.
and other books, and just now I'm sitting. I have a laptop and all of that, so I'm working and I'm learning, and it was just so funny how things manifest themselves. I started meeting people who were doing the same thing, and making connections, similar to like the game, right? But this
Right.
is all positive. This is all positive. And so I'm just, I sit back and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And so I had been working with some individuals, uh, doing artist development with these individuals. And it had been like 10 years or something, right? And so now, we are working on projects. We do some projects. I put it together with the production, the artists, getting it mixed and mastered, coming up with the videos and all of that. And at the time, I was studying marketing too. And so I always wanted to be honest, though, because I could have been just like, just for me, but I
Hmm.
wanted it's enough for everybody. That's how I believe. Like it's enough for everybody. So I always try to teach the education of the business to the artists. And a lot of the artists didn't want that. They just want the shiny. I just want to be a star, man. Give me a
Right.
chain, some new, and this. And I was like, really? I was like, you don't want to buy the copyrights, right? You don't want to get your own publishing company. It's only like $150. They're like, no, I'd rather get some Jordans.
Mm.
Okay, well, let's put it on my publishing. I'll pay for the copyrights, right? I own them now, so don't get mad. So, because I knew that if I'm going to be part of something, that we had to do it right
Yeah.
in order for it to become something.
Hmm.
And so we did it, and I marketed it, and I sold 50,000 units, 50,000 downloads at $8 a piece. It's like $400,000, something like that. Exactly. So that's what I was like when I saw it in the PayPal. I'm like, what? I did it, right?
You did it.
I did it, and so now I know that I have to buy things that attract people to this world that I'm involved in, right? I call them your tools, right? So you need the car, you need the right. So you will see my success, and as when you see my success, then you can know that if you get with me, we're gonna be successful. so,
And you've proven
so
it. You've proven
right,
that.
I'm proving
Yeah.
it, right? But
Yeah.
the artist that saw me was like, "Bro, how you get the Benz?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Hey, remember that little project we put together that you didn't want to get the copyrights to or the publishing? It worked out." And so now they're kind of upset, but you can't be upset at me because I offered it to you first.
Right.
You don't remember that part though, right? But you upset at because you're seeing the shiny stuff.
Right.
But we could do another project, and you can now you know. Um, so I had a lot of that, um, and still working two jobs,
Wow.
and I'm just doing. I just figured that I'm just blessed, right? And I'm doing
Yeah.
everything right, and things are starting to pan out, um, and so I'm excited. And I got a few shiny things because I call them, like, again, those are my tools that for videos or when I'm talking and doing business or whatever, that people can see that, hey, I done did some things, so I know. But I think that, like, my neighbors, they thought otherwise. I mean, I think I even, at times found myself being followed, right? Because they want to know when I think these different walks of life, whether you're working or you're a robber. If you're a robber, what do? You follow, surveillance, all of these things, right? But you surveillance me and you see, damn, he working. He go to work, bro. Like, I ain't seen him do nothing illegal. Like, he goes to work. So how is he getting all of this? And so, anyway, fast forward, I believe that my neighbor across from me was watching me, and he
Ah.
saw these things, right? And so they robbed me. They pulled. They somehow I come from eating. I park the car. I go upstairs, and I come back out to go check the mail. And then when I'm walking back, somebody walk when you in this is Player Della Rey on the south side. These condos you can walk through. Some of them don't have the full garage, so you can walk from the front to the back and be right there. But only people who know where you live at and when you come out know this, if that makes sense to you.
No, it
So
does. Yeah.
it had to be somebody like watching me on the phone, like, hey, he at the mailbox right now.
Wow.
He gotta walk back. And when he walked back and get by the stairway, you could come around and get him. He got the Rolex on right now. And so that's what happened with the robbery.
Wow.
And what that did was is it didn't take my joy, but it triggered in me what I already had in me and what I had suppressed, right? It made me aware, and it like I've been there. Like, to me, I think San Jose is a suburb, right? It's not the ghetto. Like,
Right.
where I'm from is like you got to cut your grass and take your garbage out with a pistol. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And so this, I'm like who the hell was they from Oakland or Richmond or something? But I'm trying to like spin this in my head, and then I'm sitting back and I'm looking, and I'm like, I know he had to have something to do with it. I had insurance on the Rolex,
Oh, good.
so when the police was called, um, they even act funny. They was like, well, why would you be wearing something like that around here? Why would you be wearing a Rolex? I was like, well, I mean, you got an Apple Watch. I got a Rolex. You like Apple? I like Rolex.
Right.
You know what I mean? You like Toyota? I like Mercedes Benz.
Right.
You buy what you like,
Yep.
right? And then the insurance company, they investigated me, right? Because they thought that I was trying to scam. And so they want to see my cell phone reports, cameras, bank accounts. Then they were asking me, how did you get this money? And I'm like, well, how did you get yours? You go to work every day? That's what I did, you know? Well, did you pay cash for the Rolex? Did you pay cash for your Apple Watch? I mean, I was asking these questions because I'm like,
You're asking, you're being
right,
profiled, so you want to know. Hey,
right,
I know what
right.
this is.
At first, I thought I was tripping, but then I'm like y'all, you think that, okay. So I had some resistance. I called a lawyer. The lawyer, like, listen, if you want the money, you gotta answer the questions, right? And I was like, well, it's not in the contract, right? Because you got to sign a contract. I know about contracts as I do
Right.
contracts with music, right? I read over the contract. I'm like, it's not there.
Right.
Well, if you want to, this, I was like, okay, fine. So I gave them everything that they wanted, and finally they cashed me out. But when they was doing the investigation, this guy across the way said that his camera didn't work. He's like, oh yeah, it don't work. It's just a dummy camera. But when the shooting happened, he gave the footage up for the shooting.
Yeah.
And so I'm in jail and I noticed that. And I'm like, huh, he had to have something to do with the robbery. Because he wouldn't give the footage up for the robbery, but you gave the footage up for the shooting. So, yeah,
Okay, so you purchased a firearm and you decided to use it.
right,
You made that decision, and it really is interesting because you had spent over 20 years doing things the right way, and you had a successful business. You had, people working for you and whatnot, but there was something within you still that had that belief system from when you were 9, from when you were 11, when you went to juvenile hall, when you went to prison, and
right,
that kicked in. And your words were, it's going to be on site. When I see him, I'm engaging. It's
right,
not if I'm threatened again or if I need to protect myself. It's no, I'm going to handle this myself.
right,
So even though you had all of the successes, you still had something within you that still needed to be worked out, that
right.
you
To
needed
be
to
dealt
grow
with.
from.
Yes, exactly. And I think that was conflict.
Right.
It was conflict. It was knowing and learning how to deal with conflict instead of responding instantly without thinking, right?
Right.
Um, because if you don't, you know, think about the situations and think about the consequences, I say play the tape all the way through instead of, just that little moment of gratification of when I see them, da 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 da, right? But consequences after that. And so you have to know that, right? Is that worth giving up everything? Is that worth throwing away everything? How hard you've worked, right? In the middle of that, someone could have got hurt, somebody innocent. And so you have to play the tape all the way through and say, you know what, I can walk away from that. It was insured. I got paid, right? Um, but my thought, I think, as a man, you know, ego kick in, um, all of these superficial things that don't matter, right? You have to
Right.
know what you built up, what you've done, all the good that you did, right? walk away. Go upstairs, shut the door, call the police. Right?
Right.
Let them handle it, you know?
Right.
And so, but I didn't think that. I had to learn that, and I had to learn the hard way, which was,
But there's alchemy in that too, because let the tape play all the way through. So yeah, you had 23 years of no run-ins with the law. You're doing well. You have a family. You have all the things everybody would ever want. But there was still that piece that needed to be worked through. So
right,
I'm just of the opinion that everything absolutely happens for a reason. Here we are today talking about it. You were arrested and charged with attempted murder. That
right,
is a heavy charge. That is life altering. And
right,
even during that court process, people you had built relationships with over the last 23 years, they came forward to speak on your behalf,
right,
right? And then ultimately, the court took your mental health into account,
right.
including PTSD from the experiences you shared with us from the earlier years. So, for many listeners, that is rare to hear. And I think it's going to be very encouraging for people to hear,
Yes.
that the court system saw that there was a connection between the trauma and your decision making.
Well, I
And
think I think that the courts, they saw that, but here in Silicon Valley, it's like zero tolerance. Right?
right,
They know that you may have some mental health issues, right?
right,
You
right,
should have got those taken care of while you was in the community. This is what the DA was saying. Just so happened, I believe that like the universe, God, or whoever your higher power is, they search through you and see your heart, right? They know that, oh, okay, you have some rough edges. We need to get those straightened out, right? So we're going to put you in a position where
yeah,
there is no gun, right? You go to jail, you're going to have conflict. What are you going to do?
right,
And so
right. And
that's what happened.
and that's what I mean. That's the alchemy of
Yeah,
the whole thing. It's
exactly.
almost beautiful, poetically beautiful. And that kind of just takes me back to towards the end of this process where I'm really curious, is that where you connected to carry the vision? And can
Yes.
you just that is
Yeah.
okay.
So when I was in jail, like, you search out, like, if you really want the change, you really, again, you get these choices and you get these avenues. And I say, like, do you want to go down straight street, or do you want to still be over here on right? And I want to go on straight street. Like, I've been successful doing this. This is cool. I know that I made a wrong choice, and in that wrong choice, how can I not correct the choice that I made, but correct my future, right?
Yes.
Or when other incidents come like that, how to respond. And so, carry your vision just so happened to come in, and I saw Debbie and what she was talking about, and I was like, wow, like her classes, her the curriculum is just life changing. Like, it's so much substance in that you can add to yourself, right? And so I took the class, and I, like, just her facilitating and everything. It was just like it was meant to be. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it was just so. I was just so happy to be able to take that class. I took it twice, actually. And so I connected with her, and it was just something in me that knew I had to ask questions for outside of the facility. Like, hey, so what do y'all do outside of here? And she was
Right.
like, oh yeah, so we do this, we do that. And I was like, what? I was like, yeah, I want to get in on that, right? Because I believe that I'm going to get out of here. I believe I'm going to beat this, right? And sure enough, everything just worked out. So yeah, very powerful, very life changing. Um, and I think that a lot of individuals, they just don't ask the questions. You know, when your ego and all of that is involved, you just won't go there. But at the end of the day, like, I know that I'm in one of the richest counties, in the world.
Yes, you are.
Right. And so there has to be some tools, some programs. It has to be like, and so if you don't ask, like a closed mouth don't get fed.
Right, right.
And
And the
so
one takeaway I just have to say is, the ego took over,
right,
and now you've got, you went to jail and you fought this for a year and you won. And you
yes.
won even beyond just getting a prison sentence, but you changed your mindset. So that is a powerful place to end with. And so I just want to say that, this was a powerful conversation. And I want to thank you, Anthony, again,
Thank you.
for your honesty, vulnerability, and willingness to speak from a place that so many people are scared to go. Your story reminds us that redemption doesn't erase the past, but it can rewrite the future. And healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community, in accountability, and in the daily decision to choose peace over pain.
Right. And
If
so I
you
want
got
to say
something,
one thing. I want to say one thing. Your situation doesn't determine your destination. You
right,
do. You do. You determine.
absolutely.
So yeah.
And to our listeners, if you got something from today's episode, we'd love for you to share it, rate it, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, don't keep it to yourself, pass it on. Until next time, I'm Vanessa Garcia, and this is Uncomplicating the System.